Today we're going to learn English with the news. We're going to read an advanced C1 article together, but don't worry because we'll review all the advanced vocabulary and grammar and pronunciation so you improve your fluency by the end of this lesson. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started.
Our headline, to get happier, make yourself smaller. Self-esteem is overrated. Let's start with this, because this is the infinitive, but in English sentence structure, we normally don't start a sentence with the infinitive. This is a purpose infinitive. It's the short form of in order to get happier. And then you provide the reason or the how. Make yourself smaller. So this is how you can get happier. Now, natives almost always drop the in order. So when you see an infinitive at the start of the sentence, most likely it's a purpose infinitive, because in English sentence structure, you would not say to cook is enjoyable. You would say cooking is enjoyable, because you don't start a sentence with the infinitive when it's the subject of the sentence. So here the gerund functions as the subject of the sentence. But in this case, the subject of the sentence is make, the imperative verb. Make yourself smaller. So it's giving you an instruction. Do this. Watch this, the imperative. Make yourself smaller. Self-esteem, so how you feel about yourself, self-esteem is overrated. Do you know what this means, overrated? Well, if something is overrated, it means that people give it a high rating. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is high. So people give it a high rating in terms of quality or importance. But if it's overrated, it means that the rating should be lower. So your friend might say, oh, that new movie is overrated. So everyone's saying it's amazing, but then you watch it and you think it's a 5 out of 10. You think it's overrated. Hopefully you're thinking JForrest English, this YouTube channel is not overrated. So you need your verb to be is overrated because it's a singular subject. If it's plural, it would be those movies are overrated, for example. So JForrest English is not overrated. So if your friend or you hear in the comment section, this is amazing, you watch it and you agree, this is amazing. So that would be, it is not overrated. It is properly rated. So put that's right, put that's right in the comments if you agree. And don't worry about taking these notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's keep reading. The better path, or a comparative word, the better path to happiness is through contemplating. Contemplating sounds more formal and academic than think. Is through thinking. But if you use think and you have the object after, you have to use about. So contemplating is only one word because it doesn't require a preposition. But if you use think, it's through thinking about one's insignificance. So significance is how large or important something is, and then the prefix to make it the opposite is in. Prefixes change in English. They're not always in, but in this case it's in. Insignificance. Insignificance. And notice the syllable stress is on that in. So insignificance. Through contemplating, through thinking about one's insignificance. So how unimportant we are. So notice there, important, the prefix is unimportant. Important, unimportant. So you just have to memorize the prefixes.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
The rest of the article is written in first-person perspective, and it's a university professor who's writing this. So let's start. Early in my academic career, so early in my career, and then what type of career? Academic career. I noticed that one of the most popular classes on campus was Introduction to Astronomy. Now notice here, I noticed that one of the most popular classes. I hear a lot of mistakes with this, where students have a singular, one, but then you need a plural noun, assuming it's a countable noun. You need a plural noun, but then the verb that's conjugated is conjugated in the singular as well, because a lot of students will conjugate it in the plural and say were, or they will just leave this in the singular. So when you use this one of, one of my favorite, one of the worst, one of the best, it's a very common sentence structure. You need the plural noun, but a singular subject, because the subject is one, so it's singular. Just for fun, you can complete this in the comments. One of my favorite ice cream flavors is, but then you have to identify one flavor, because maybe there are many you like, but one. So put that in the comments to complete it, and notice the singular is, but the plural flavors. And like I said, this is also common with one of the best ice cream flavors, one of the worst ice cream flavors, very common sentence structure. So Introduction to Astronomy was one of the most popular classes. A general science course that anyone could take. So notice you take a class. You take a class, which means you enroll in it. Now, you also take an exam, which means you complete an exam. If you pass, it means you were successful. If you fail, it means you were not successful. A replacement to take would be enroll, but if you use enroll, you have to use the preposition in, because even though there's nothing after it, the object has been identified. A general science course, that's the object that anyone could take, that anyone could enroll. If you just ended at enroll, it's grammatically incorrect and it sounds incomplete to a native's ear. We're waiting for you to say the preposition in, that anyone could enroll in. Let's keep going. The students all loved it. What's the it? The general science course, the Introduction to Astronomy, one of the most popular classes on campus. The students all loved it, especially the non-science majors. I asked one of them, again, one of them. So the same structure we discussed. One, but then the group is plural. Them represents the students in the course. I asked one of them, an economics student, why she, because again, one, it would be he or she, because people have gender, she or he. So in this case, it's she, why she enjoyed astronomy so much. She didn't say anything about stars. So of course, astronomy is the study of stars, constellations, the sky. I did not take astronomy in university, so I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps you have a better idea. But she did say something powerful about earthly existence. So here, earthly functions as an adverb. It's just giving more information about existence. So existence on earth, because this is the study of the universe, the stars, the sky. So she's making that comparison, not the sky, on earth. So earthly existence. Let's keep reading. When I go into class on Thursday mornings, I usually am stressed out about my life. So when I go into this, is another way of just saying when I'm in class. You could also just say to be in class. When I go into class, when I'm in class. But go into focuses more on the transition from she's in the hallway or in the parking lot, and then just the entering part. Whereas in class, you're focusing on the fact that she's sitting at her desk, the professor is in the front of the room. So you could use both, but it slightly changes what you focus on. I usually am stressed out. So to be stressed out. Stressed out functions as the adjective, and then the verb is to be. Now, out is optional. You could just say when I'm stressed about my life. And native speakers use both very frequently. Oh, I'm so stressed. I'm so stressed out. And then when you provide the reason why, you use about. I'm so stressed about my English exam. I'm so stressed out about my English exam. Hopefully you're not thinking that. So let's review this again. When I go into class on Thursday mornings, I usually am stressed out about my life, she told me. But 90 minutes later, I feel relief because I'm just a speck on a speck. What's this? A speck on a speck. Okay, a speck is a very small, tiny particle. Right now, you probably can't see it, but I just picked up a speck of dirt or dust from my desk. Now, you might have a speck of pasta sauce on your brand new shirt, or you have a speck of mascara under your eye. So it's a very small amount. So remember, this is an astronomy class. The universe is enormous. So she's a speck on a speck. Well, I only know that this represents Earth, planet Earth, based on the context of the fact we're studying astronomy. And you use the preposition on. I'm on Earth, okay? You're on a planet, on Mars, on the moon. So on a speck. So she's saying compared to the entirety of the universe, Earth looks like this tiny piece of dust or piece of dirt. And then she is just even tinier. She's a speck on a speck. Without using the word a speck, I might say a tiny dot. I am a tiny dot sitting on a tiny dot in the universe. So this tiny dot represents Earth in the universe. Now, I also use the replacement word for a speck as minuscule. Minuscule. This isn't an adjective I use too frequently, but it's a great replacement here. So on a minuscule planet, because small, tiny, I feel like it doesn't capture the essence of how small, how tiny. And instead of saying very small, you could say minuscule. But minuscule isn't used in all contexts as a replacement to small. So just be careful when you use it, but in this context, you could absolutely use it, minuscule. And this relates to how in the headline, it told you to make yourself smaller. One's insignificance. So this girl contemplating that she's just a speck on a speck is an example of the headline. Let's keep reading. She was expressing a profound philosophical truth. So profound, essential, very important could be replacements. Profound philosophical truth. We tend to believe that to be happier, what is this? To be happier, to be happier, this is the purpose infinitive, okay? It's not the subject of the sentence. It's in order to be happier. And then to complete the purpose infinitive, you need a clause after. You need the how, the instruction. We need to become bigger in our own mind and in the minds of others. But this is what we tend to believe. So if we tend to believe it, it means that we regularly believe it. It's part of our routine. That's the word tend to. So it's something that's routine or regular. Let's keep going. But that's wrong. Okay, that being we need to become bigger, more significant in our own mind and in the minds of others. But that's wrong. It's a very strong statement. That's wrong. What we really need to achieve both the perspective on life we need and the peace we crave. So crave is we really want something. We use this word, it's a verb. We use this verb for food a lot. Oh, I'm craving pizza. Oh, I'm really craving sushi right now. I'm craving some chips. So what are you craving right now? So we use it a lot with food items. So because it's a verb, because it's right now, that's why I said, I'm craving. Oh, I'm craving pizza. Now, we also use it as I have a craving for pizza. It's a more complicated structure because a craving is the noun when you can simply use the verb crave, but natives do commonly use it. So I think it's worth knowing that structure as well. So here's the verb, I'm craving pizza, and the noun, I have. So the verb is have, a craving, this is the noun, for, that's the required preposition, and then pizza. So again, more complicated, but useful to know. So what are you craving? Put it in the comments. Probably pizza now that I've said it many times. So the peace we crave, we deeply desire, is to get smaller in relation to everything and everyone else. So this is what the author is saying we need to do, we should do to achieve the perspective we want and the peace we crave, to get smaller. So make ourselves insignificant. When we experience our own littleness, so smallness, insignificance, you could use that because insignificance is the noun form, whereas before insignificant is the adjective form. It's very useful to get comfortable with different forms of words because then you can double your vocabulary just by learning the noun form and the adjective form in this case. So in the words of this student talking about how she feels like a little speck, maybe she would say, now that problem feels insignificant or is insignificant. So it's conjugated third person singular. The subject is problem. And with the adjective insignificant, it's common to use both the verb feel or the verb to be. And then insignificance is the noun. Because right here, grammatically, the sentence requires a noun. When we experience our own littleness, smallness, insignificance, we stop blocking our ability to see our life in just proportion. So you can ignore the word just because it's not being used as the regular way. I just need more time. To say only, it means more exact proportion, in just proportion. So it's the proportion you want. So in proportion. So if something's in proportion, it means the size is appropriate. Some people, we have an expression, oh, she tends to blow everything out of proportion. Notice I use she tends to. I use that naturally. I wasn't trying to use that. She tends to blow everything out of proportion. It means that if there's a small error or mistake, she makes it seem like this massive, huge error or mistake. So that's blowing something out of proportion, is making it way bigger or potentially way smaller than it is in reality. What I have underlined is an idiom, so you must use these exact words. Instead of everything, you could say, she tends to blow problems, issues, challenges out of proportion. So you could replace everything with the specific noun. And tend means she does it routinely, regularly, not just this one time. Let's read this again. When we experience our own littleness, we stop blocking our ability to see our life in just proportions. So the size, the significance, the importance that it really is. We can relax into a humble reality of not being the object of attention and criticism. So this relates to when we view ourselves as just a speck on a speck, we can relax. We're not the object of attention or criticism because we're just a speck on a speck. And we can appreciate a magnificent universe without spoiling it. So without ruining it, that would be the alternative to spoil, without ruining it, with our self-absorption. So always thinking about myself. Is everyone looking at me? Well, no, because I'm just a speck on a speck. So that's self-absorption, thinking that everyone is paying attention to me, thinking about my grammar mistakes or my accent. And petty concerns. So petty is another word for insignificant, unimportant, petty concerns. So you might use this when two people are arguing, but you can say, oh, they're arguing over something petty, something that doesn't require arguing over, such as someone borrowed my pen. I mean, who cares, right? That could be a petty concern. Let's keep going. When we recognize this, so what he said above, when we recognize this, we can finally redirect our energy. So if you redirect it, it means you direct it again. So when you add re in front of the verb, it means you do it again. This article has a lot of advanced vocabulary. You should re-watch it. You should watch it again. So re-watch it. So by redirecting our energy, right now, he's claiming that our energy is perhaps directed at ourselves, thinking about ourselves, how my hair looks, if people are thinking about my accent. So you want to take that direction and redirect it. So direct it again into a new, different direction. When we recognize this, we can finally redirect our energy toward what actually matters, stepping back from our imagined central role frees us to notice beauty. Okay, here, stepping back, this is metaphorically, because to step back, if I were standing, I would go back. That would be to step back. So step means one place. So if you're too close to a line, maybe the subway line, the security guard might say you need to step back, okay? Move back. But in this case, it's more metaphorically because you can imagine if my problems are here and I want to step back from them, it means to create space. So create space from a problem or an issue. So often if someone's dealing with a challenge or a problem, as advice, someone might say, just step back for the day. So give yourself space for the day. Go for a walk, read a book, have a bath, whatever, step back. So create space. Stepping back from our imagined central role. So I think this imagined central role represents our self-absorption, because central role means that we are at the center and everything is moving around us. So I'm here and all the people are going around thinking about me, talking about my hair. So he's saying, create some space from that, because that's not the reality. That's our imagined central role. Frees us to notice beauty, to invest in others, and to participate in the world with less fear. Paradoxically, repeat after me. Paradoxically. We have this K sound. Doxically. Repeat after me. Doxically. Now, this is the syllable stress. Paradoxically. Okay, repeat the whole word. Paradoxically. So this is an adverb, is introducing the clause. So it comes from the word paradox, of course. So a paradox is something that seems the opposite or unexpected, not what you would think based on logic. So maybe I would say to you, paradoxically, to improve your English, study less. That's not what you would expect, right? You would expect your teacher to say study more. I'm not advising you to study less. That was just an example of using paradoxically. Perhaps it is true in your case. I don't know. But here, paradoxically, the smaller we become, the more spacious life feels. So smaller in the sense of our own significance. So stepping back from thinking that we are the center, being self-absorbed, everyone is thinking about us. That's the smaller we become. Remember, a speck on a speck, the more spacious life feels. And that's the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article to start to finish, and you can focus on my pronunciation. To get happier, make yourself smaller. Self-esteem is overrated. The better path to happiness is through contemplating one's insignificance. Early in my academic career, I noticed that one of the most popular classes on campus was Introduction to Astronomy, a general science course that anyone could take. The students all loved it, especially the non-science majors. I asked one of them, an economics student, why she enjoyed astronomy so much. She didn't say anything about stars, but she did say something powerful about earthly existence. When I go into class on Thursday mornings, I usually am stressed out about my life, she told me, but 90 minutes later, I feel relief because I am just a speck on a speck. She was expressing a profound philosophical truth. We tend to believe that to be happier, we need to become bigger in our own mind and in the minds of others. But that's wrong. What we really need to achieve, both the perspective on life we need and the peace we crave, is to get smaller in relation to everything and everyone else. When we experience our own littleness, we stop blocking our ability to see our life in just proportion. We can relax into a humble reality of not being the object of attention and criticism, and we can appreciate a magnificent universe without spoiling it with our self-absorption and petty concerns. When we recognize this, we can finally redirect our energy toward what actually matters. Stepping back from our imagined central role frees us to notice beauty, to invest in others, and to participate in the world with less fear. Paradoxically, the smaller we become, the more spacious life feels.
Do you want to keep learning English with the news? If you do, put more in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.